Hi, Andre. It's really good to see you again.
It's good to see you too, Mum.
Yeah, we've been away. I've been away over to Adelaide, and you were away on something.
I've been away somewhere. Yeah.
Somewhere or other. So we're both back again. Here we are back into Spiritual Truth.
It's good to be back.
Good to be back. That's good. And leading up to Christmas now.
Yeah, it's a bit of a busy period, and
Yeah.
I didn't tend not to like to use the word busy, but I feel like I am busy, so I will use it now as appropriate.
I think the best thing you can do is just take your breath, take your time, one thing at a time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep a diary.
That's a good way. I think like when being busy, like especially this last month till Christmas, it's really easy just to get caught up in the motions of life.
Yes.
But then that's still a month of life that we have to live, and so sort of taking the time to sort of appreciate every day becomes really difficult when you've got a lot on. But it's also very important. I think
it actually leads into our podcast a little bit. Something
Perfect.
I was going to bring up.
Okay.
So, but one we're going to be talking about is, can you ask Spirit for help?
Okay.
And that's what we're going to be talking about.
That's the topic for today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, I guess that leads into we all have issues from time to time. At the moment, I'm busy. So, is this like when we have issues from time to time? Is this a time when we can talk to a psychic medium for help, assistance, and guidance?
Yeah. Of course. I mean, I'm going to probably do a whole podcast about going to a psychic medium. So when someone comes to see me, I break it down. My psychic and my medium, I say, do they mainly want guidance for their life? Are they looking for connection to the other side? Are they wanting 80-20 or 50-50? So absolutely. Definitely a psychic medium or getting a reading of any kind, a tarot card reading, anything, definitely can help assist. There can be, I think, sometimes people can get a bit reliant on that as well, is that they don't make their own choices or decisions or decide for themselves. So it's just really, Spirit comes through to guide you, but you've got to make your own decisions at the end of the day. But I believe, this is what we're talking about, that's not the total answer.
Okay.
And we've talked about the answer lies within. But I feel as well, you're just talking about being busy and talking about that caught up in the day-to-day life and the way that things are. And I realise this as a spiritual person, as a psychic medium myself, is that I often got into like helping others to guide them along their way, or occasionally I might get a reading myself or look for guidance or ask that sort of thing. But then because you get caught up in day-to-day life, you forget really what you need to distance yourself from. What is the spirituality all about? And the spirit world are very capable. The word I'm hearing are very capable. And because of the love, and they know about our pressure because they can see us, they can feel us, they can hear us. They're present, just in a different way, in a different dimension. And they're aware of what we're going through. And quite often with my readings is that I will bring something current that's happening up in somebody's life. So they're very, very aware of what's happening around you. And we forget that they want to help us. They want to help us. And they're there to help us. So it happened to me recently. I had a lot of stuff, my husband's business. I'm quite worried about or concerned about a situation, about trying to hire the right person, and there's other things that has been stressing me out a little bit. And I was driving home just thinking, oh my God, I'm so caught up in my head and my mind that I'm forgetting that Spirit's there. And I can reach out to them. Why aren't I praying to them? Why am I asking them, requesting them to give their help? Because I know I can 100% that Spirit will answer you and they'll help you.
Okay, so
it's there for you. It's sort of like it's a resource, Spirit a resource. Yeah.
Sure, they're a resource, and how do you tap into this source? So you mentioned prayer. Is that what you're doing, or how are you asking for help?
For help, okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes people think that prayer. I had Wikatora here before, and she talked about prayer and asking is two different things.
Karakia.
Yeah, kakia.
Karakia and prayer are two different things.
Kakia, that's right, two different things. So in a way, I guess it is. So kakia, or asking. So for me particularly, I've talked about before, my husband has got an electrical business. My father had a building company, construction company. There's a similarity between the two of them. And whenever John's stressed, I particularly do a kakira to my dad and I ask him to help John. Quite often I reach out and ask for different, I talk about the angels, I talk about different Pacific angels to help me, like Shemuel to help restore from chaos. Or I might ask for my auntie, who's really good with money or trying to find things, that ask you to help me. So you could know someone in the spirit world that you know. It could be a friend or anybody, your family or anyone who particularly was quite good at a certain thing. And you can specifically ask them. It's your choice, though, you can ask them. So that's like asking, where a prayer's very similar, and people in like religious faiths, they may do things like, so the Catholic faith, they have like the rosary, they have Pacific prayers. So they have the Our Father and the Hail Mary and all those sort of things. Other people have different prayers at different religions at different times of day. You've got to pray. So have their own way of praying to a higher being, whatever that is. So that's like a prayer. I sort of see it as the same thing. I don't separate it. And I definitely believe in the power of prayer. Yeah, so the similarity between prayer and asking is that it's putting it out to a different place. You're asking to a spiritual place. You're asking for help. And the prayers will be answered, or your asking will be heard, but maybe not in the way you expect it to be.
Right.
But they will listen.
Yeah.
And they will try their best to help you.
Yeah. When you're talking, and this might be my naivety, but you're sort of talking about two different things. Like two different types of spirit, I guess. There's your people that you know have passed and are in the spirit world. And then you've also got, I guess, God, or you talk about angels.
Your angels is different.
And so they can all sort of answer your help.
Yeah.
Your call for help.
Yeah, sometimes like
you're not going to say a prayer to your like past friends and family.
I do more of an asking.
There's more of an asking.
Yeah,
okay.
I ask. So I ask because if it's for a specific reason, so I will ask my dad to help John calm down.
Okay.
And so whenever John comes home, he's more relaxed because he sort of somehow is really good working. I know I've worked days really good at helping him.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
really
I've noticed that. I've really noticed that. And my auntie's really good at helping me find things all with financial situations because she was really good with that. So I just ask for specific reasons, or if everything's really chaotic, I'll ask Shemuel to help me.
Yeah. Are you asking this in your thoughts, or are you saying it out loud, or what's your sort of delivery method?
My delivery method is always mainly to do it in my mind.
Okay.
And I just sort of stop. And I just, it's like I'm reaching out in my mind. It's my reaching out. It's a reaching out.
Yeah.
And asking. Yeah. And sometimes if it's really difficult, like say if there's something that's really getting you down and really upsetting you, I ask all of them. So I'll pray. I'll say a prayer to God. I'll say a prayer to Jesus. I ask Our Lady, I ask my mum, my dad, and everyone, please help me.
You might as well hedge your bets. It's free.
Hedge my bets.
It's
free. Yeah, but not every time. It just depends.
Right.
Every situation's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's how I do. But what you talked about earlier, you talked very much about getting caught up in the busyness of life and the hectic, and you forget to breathe.
Yes.
To stop. And I think this is a time that we can get quite caught up and quite stressed and panicky in here, or tied up in knots. And if we just relax for a minute, and that one of the things that we need to do is to reach out and to ask or to pray. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah, right. It's
There's
very
no
personalised.
right. It's very personalised, and it's like, and you can ask, does the Hail Mary work, and does the Our Father work? Is that, to me, as far as I can see, you're still connecting to the spirit world. You're still asking. It's the same as asking for Reiki symbols. The same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's repeated. Whatever works for you.
Yeah. Right. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm personally not a very religious person, as you know. But for me personally, I think for asking for help, something about the personalized message asking for help rather than a scripted prayer makes more sense to me.
Yes.
But I guess, like, you know, everyone's different, and some people using a scripted prayer, they'll probably find more comfort.
Yes.
In that.
So who would you ask?
I remember growing up, and when I'd lose something, I'd ask Saint Anthony.
Yeah, that's right.
For help.
Yeah,
that was. I mean, that's from the Catholic religion, but
yeah.
And yeah, it's funny you sort of brought Granddad up as well, where I feel like my internal dialogue, when especially he was a very technical man, he was an engineer, I'm an engineer, so especially like going through like university and stuff, when I get really stuck and I just kind of like think about Granddad and how smart he was, and sort of ask him whether it's just me trying to like find inspiration from somewhere in my, you know, in my past and in my DNA, or asking the spirit realm. I'm not quite sure what I was actually trying to achieve. Well, I knew I was trying to achieve was to get over this challenge I was facing, but the delivery method where I was actually talking to spirit, or was whether I was trying to find inspiration. I think you could probably blend those two things together.
Yeah. So did it work?
Well, I'm an engineer, so
yes. So it must have worked in some ways.
Yeah, in some way, yeah.
And I'm seeing this, and there's this grandma telling you off.
Oh yeah, no, she would tell me off. Yeah. She was a very religious person.
Yeah, she was very religious.
Yeah, I had a lot of interesting conversation with her. Probably later, you know, towards before she passed, but
about religion and things like that.
Yeah, we'd have very philosophical conversations, but I was always very open and accepting to her. But yeah.
I think you're always going to learn from something, can't you? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think there's value in everything. So, you know, we're all, what is there, like 8 billion people on this planet? And I think every single one of those 8 billion people will have some sort of value to add, even if you disagree.
To offer,
Yeah. Okay. So when we're talking about asking for help or praying to either the higher powers or your friends and family, do you get an instant answer? Is there like an instant response to these things?
Usually there's not. So usually there's not, actually. It doesn't happen. I'm not saying it won't happen straight away, because it could do. And I'm not going to say there's a yes or no on that answer. Could be, but I think you've got to be, with Spirit's saying to me, you've also got to be personally responsible. I think you've got to be personally responsible as well. I think that's really important. But I think also there tends to be, it's not always automatic, and sometimes I find there's a delay. I've talked about this before, about the thunder and the lightning. I often find there's a delay, and it's like, I had a really chaotic situation recently, and I just felt my prayers weren't being answered. I was quite frustrated, to be honest. And then when I calmed down, I relaxed, it fell into place. And there's a situation lately where I prayed for something, and then the next day I was with somebody, and I was thinking they're going to give me an answer about something, and they did. They gave it to me, and I made me feel quite relaxed. So I think it's about trust as well. Yeah.
No, interesting.
But I think that comes down to, you may not get the prayers answered the way that you expect to get them answered. So they'll be answered, but not necessarily in the way that you expect to be answered. It can be quite different. Yeah. It can be quite different. I've had a situation recently where I was talking, I really wanted to do a retreat. And I've been asking about, should I do this retreat? Because I know there's a lot of work involved. And then very unexpectedly, about a week later, I was away, and someone who's very well established and professional just gave me some answers and said that they might be able to do something for me. Yeah, and I've been asking about that, but it just happened in such an unexpected way. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So let's hope it comes about.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing is...
And it wasn't how I expected at all. Right. There's no way.
Yeah. And I guess like one thing is, like, if you can ask, you can't really expect things just to be sorted for you, right? You're going to have to invest something in yourself, like the spirit world or whatever, is not just going to sort your life out without you doing anything. Yes, I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned in the doing of something.
I think it's interesting how it does work, though. Yeah. How do they make things happen? I had a situation, for instance, where someone was being really overpowering and so almost aggressive, and I almost felt a little bit unsafe in the situation, and I reached out, and suddenly this person just out of the blue just completely calmed down.
Mm-hmm.
And worked with it as a team with me. We got something sorted. So that's sort of what happens. It's sort of I don't know how their energy somehow manages to calm that person down.
Yeah.
Or I'm in a situation where I just happen to come across somebody that can help me such a situation. I just happen to cross over.
Mm-hmm.
They give me an opportunity. It's up to me whether I want to take it or not.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like I feel they use other people to inspire.
Yeah, inspire. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. I mean, going back to like
Yeah,
my example of like
yeah.
in the past where I've sort of reached out for help internally. So we'll use, at university, stuck on something, ask granddad to help. I sort of, I guess at that point, I'm not expecting like an answer to come through, but am I still going to have to do the work to find out the answer? But maybe some like inspiration comes through to go, like maybe you need to look into like this area, or have you thought about this? So a different way sort of gets you over that like challenge, that brick wall that you faced. It's almost like there's a ladder there, and you still have to climb it.
Yeah.
You still have to do the thing.
Yeah.
It's not just given to you, right?
Actually, I've got a really good example about that myself. When I was about 21, I think, I was nursing at the Mercy Hospital and we worked for the nuns, and I found them personally a little bit scary and overpowering.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And some of them were lovely and some of them were tougher.
Yeah.
And I was taking stitches out from someone's wound. We'd take the stitches out in those days; they didn't dissolve.
Mm-hmm.
And I was taking the stitches out, and almost like the dragon. I just say like a dragon nun. Sorry.
Yeah.
Came and I thought, oh my God, this is my worst nightmare. I was so nervous, and she was watching me take the stitches out, and I couldn't get the stitch out.
Mm-hmm.
And I prayed, and that time I was sort of really religious. I prayed to Jesus. I said, can you help me? I don't know what made me. Something made me turn my hand around the other way, and it came out. I just started doing it differently, and something just made me turn my hand. It's sort of like that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's a really good example.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess along those same lines. So, I know you like to play lotto.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't play lotto myself, but I will go to the casino every now and then with my friends and play some poker or blackjack or something like that.
Which I can't stand. I can't stand it.
Same thing, different method.
I know.
My point is, could you pray or ask Spirit for help in that sort of avenue?
Yeah. You can ask, but will you receive? And it's like, I guess there's a big picture at play here, and I guess they can see what, because of love and what you need, and it's almost like a miracle almost, but really that I would say not necessarily because it might not be the right thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they know that for you that it could actually, because I think we talked to Janet Saccone, she talked that she's almost seen people win millions of dollars almost ruin their life. It's caused so much stress.
Yeah.
It's been the worst thing for them.
Yeah.
So, and maybe the spirit world can tell that's you need to do it your own way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you never know. You got to be into it, don't you?
You got to be into it. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. I guess like the motivation.
I won the Melbourne Cup recently though.
Yeah.
Because not that I don't bet on the races, and but I just felt like number 11. I think also we talked to Annette Bronson. I sort of knew that I always horses at the Melbourne Cup, and I knew that one was going to win.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I got because I don't think Spirit World really want to engage in gambling.
Right.
But they might just help a little bit now and again with things.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and you can also, the other thing you can do is, sometimes you don't know right for wrong, so you can ask for a sign as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I might be looking, that's what I can do. So I might say, is this the right course for me to take? Is this the right thing for me to take?
Mm-hmm.
And you can ask for a sign, but you've got to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is meant to be, this is going to happen, I'm going to see something, going to give me a sign of some kind. You can ask for a specific sign.
Yeah.
I thought within 3 days a good one to ask. Within 3 days I need a sign, but don't look for it and don't search for it because it won't happen. Just allow it, this sign will just turn up. That's the other way. So you can actually ask them for guidance that way.
Yeah, right. And we talk about that a bit in the Well, the previous podcast we did on science, right?
You did. Yes, we did. We did talk about that. Also, it's interesting as well. Sometimes they can give you things in dreams as well, and things become clear in dreams.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes, people, my dad used to say, always sleep on it. Because I think when you're tired, your mind can go a bit crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sleeping on things. And I feel that through your sleep, I think spirit connects with you, and I feel they can inspire you because you're completely relaxed, and then you wake up in the morning and you think, oh, actually, I know what I'm going to do now.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I used to program a lot, so software and stuff, and even now and then I'll get really stuck, and I'll be stuck for hours and hours and hours, and I'll sort of like give up.
Yeah,
and I'll go sleep on it. But I wake up at 3:00 in the morning with the answer.
Yeah.
Just wake up and then I've got the answer. I've almost like dreamt the answer or something.
Yeah, so
but
you're inspired.
100% know what it is, and I'll jump onto my computer, and then within a minute have solved something I've been working on for hours and hours and hours, if not days. So yeah, it's really interesting, the whole sleep on problems.
Yeah, sleep on problems, and also with your spiritual not, but my belief is that you're completely relaxed and your brain's having a rest, but you're also more open because you're in a different state, and the spirit world can sort of inspire you more. So that's really interesting as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Marina talked about that in her podcast as well.
She did. Yeah, she did. Yeah.
She has some inspiration in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Or even by the morning. Yeah. So if you're lost, I mean, I think if you're searching, just let it be. Ask, and I just said the divine will answer. That's what I'm hearing. The divine will answer. So just don't search, because I find also if I've lost something, I think I did a podcast about lost and found.
Yeah.
And when I was talking to you, I said I know I'd lost a black skirt, and I said in the podcast I know where it is now, and I went and found it straight away. And I've lost it for about a year.
Yeah.
And I found it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. So I guess that just ask and wait, and all will be revealed.
Yeah, nice. And can you do this with, because I guess we've been talking about doing this for yourself.
Yeah.
Can you do this with others as well? Say if you know someone that's going through something and something you care about, or maybe you don't care about, but can you ask?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's okay. I think you can be specific, but not too specific. So, for instance, I'm talking about John, aren't I? Because I asked for John, and I asked my dad to help him.
Yeah.
So I'm asking, and it seems to always help. I don't know. I need to know how it helps. I've got no idea. I don't need to know that. I need to keep myself out of it once I've asked that and allow the process. But at the same time, it often does work, but you can't tell them what to do. Because I listened to someone I know recently, and they're quite controlling. And they said to me, "Oh yeah, I prayed or I asked, and I asked this, and I asked for this, this, and this, and this." And I thought, whoa, because that's that's controlling, trying to control spirit. It's like demanding and controlling, and it doesn't work like that. The more open you are, the more able they are. That's what I just heard them say. The more open you are, the more able they are.
Right. So don't ask for specific solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
more able.
Ask that a problem be solved.
Somehow.
Yeah, somehow. Yeah.
I just heard that. It made more open you are, more able you are. Because I feel what it is that you're opening up, and you're giving them room, is what they're telling me. Oh, interesting. You're giving them room to work.
Okay.
Instead of into a squash space.
Yeah. You're widening the scope.
Widening the scope, and they've got the ability to be creative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Relaxing and then creative. Something else came to me when you were talking to me, and is that you get people that they call it the power of prayer, and a lot of people praying at the same time. And I think that can be quite powerful as well. If people pray together for something, but like not too specific, just for a situation or people to be helped.
I guess that's what churches and stuff are, right? Like people, like it's Sunday, on Sundays and things like that. You get a whole lot of people together praying. Right?
Yes, it also comes down to the intention.
Yeah.
As well, because I remember at church, I was reciting things. I didn't even mean what I was saying. I just recited things, so it comes down to your intention as well.
Right. That sounds like my childhood.
Yeah.
Can you, I know we've spoken about healing before.
Yeah.
Some people might not have watched the healing podcast, but,
Yeah.
I wouldn't call myself a healer in any way. I wouldn't know sort of where to start. But
Yeah.
could you ask Spirit to help heal other people, or is that?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course
Yeah.
you can. One thing I've got about asking for healing, you can ask for general healing of the planet and those in need. I think that's okay to ask for healing. But if it's like someone, I think it's good to have that person's permission as well. You can ask in general for the world to help others and help people and help the planet and do their best. But I know somebody like that someone could be close to them was very unwell and they didn't want healing.
Really?
I could leave it to spirit world, but they didn't. For instance, I couldn't send them healing.
It's like blocked.
Because they didn't want it. They said they don't want healing. They don't even want me to send them healing. They didn't believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's controlling on me to force healing on someone. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
But I think for praying, I think you can ask, but I think they have to want. Remember, they're all caught up in that as well. So I know that my mum used to quite often pray for one of my brothers, and she didn't like the fact that he was Baha'i and we were Catholic. And she prayed and prayed and prayed that he'd leave the Baha'i faith and become Catholic. So once again, it was like very controlling.
Yeah.
And guess what? It never happened. So she would have been really disappointed.
Yeah. I guess that's because that's her own desire is not necessarily what's best for that person.
Yeah, her own desire. So
Yeah.
so I know someone who's unwell at the moment, and I didn't say to the person I'm going to pray for them,
Yeah.
or I'm going to ask or send them healing. I just said I'm just giving you good thoughts your way or good vibes your way because that's maybe more acceptable to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you say to someone, "Can I pray for you?" or "Can I send you healing?" it's quite nice to ask. I think it's quite considerate, so that I'm healing.
Yeah, for sure.
Because somebody might not want it.
Yeah.
They might not want it.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always their choice, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yes, you can pray for other people. Once again, don't be too specific and ask what's the best thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
And just remember, even they may be given opportunities. Doesn't mean they're actually going to take it, or they want to listen, or they want to be aware.
Mm-hmm.
Because they'll just shut things down. Because even myself, I mean, I've talked about I have a feeling not to do something or to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. For instance, we had Wikitoria there before when she was talking about whakapapa.
Yeah.
And I had a feeling I should ask her what she specifically meant by that. And after the podcast, she said to me, "Why don't you ask her about that?"
Yeah. I think, that's a lesson that I've learned in life is if I don't understand something.
I sort of know what it means, but I didn't. I'm trying to articulate it a bit better.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So whakapapa is about the generations, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's like, you know, and I don't want to butcher the meaning of what whakapapa is, but I guess in a very simple sense, it's like, you know, I guess your ancestry, but everyone has their time and everyone has their time in the light, and you are your person, or who you are, not your person, but who you are is kind of like a summation of everything that's become before you.
Right.
So everything that's come before you has led to the point where who you are, and it's almost like they've all had their time, and they've all had the torch, and they've passed the torch over. So you know, your existence now, you're holding that torch, you're holding that light that's been passed on to you from your whakapapa, and that sort of makes you up. So it's not, you're not, it's like it's the opposite to selfishness. Like you are part of something bigger, and it's just your time in the light now. But you know, everything came before you, and there's going to be a time when you have to pass that torch over, and you are part of the whakapapa of the next person. Yeah.
I just saw a beautiful blue and purple light right next to you then, like an orb, and it was like half purple and half blue.
Okay.
As you were talking. And it was interesting.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this morning on my morning walk. I was thinking about, you know, about my future generations and my time on Earth, and want to pass things over. So I was thinking about that. But interesting enough, when she's talking about that this morning, I had a feeling to ask her, but I went, and I held back. And yet you asked me afterwards, why didn't you ask her about that?
Yeah.
So that was interesting. So I had an opportunity. Obviously, the spirit world were inspiring me. And for some reason, I chose to not say something. Why, I don't know. I was hesitant.
Yeah.
And then you asked me afterwards. So that's how it works. That's how subtle the energy can be.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And you kind of
It
just
can
like turned it off. And I guess like being,
Yeah.
when you're on camera, you know, there's going to be a lot of people watch you.
Yeah.
You don't want to, I guess, putting words in your mouth, you probably don't want to look silly because maybe you think you should know what this is.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's so I was sort of like sort of pressure, but
Yeah.
and so that's what I felt. So that's a good example. So that's how it worked with prayer. So someone will be inspired,
Yeah.
and it's whether they decide to act on that, or they'll be warned as well, or not to do this, or to do that, or that sort of thing. Yeah.
So you need to open yourself up to be sensitive to these things.
Yeah.
And don't search for it, but be sensitive.
Be aware.
Yeah.
I think be sensitive and to be aware and just to simply ask. So I think it comes down to, and some people may feel awkward about it. I think I get hearing some people feel awkward about it. So I feel if you're going to pray or if you're going to ask for help, I think you need to put yourself into a safe place where you feel private or you feel good and you feel happy, and then you can ask. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What about
Yeah.
just changing the topic slightly? But we talked about Lotto as a bit of tongue in cheek. But what about like miracles?
Right.
Like,
Okay.
you know, obviously miracles are things that shouldn't have happened, or they're sort of unworldly that have occurred. We've talked about not narrowing scope on something, but if you're stuck in an impossible situation, do you believe in miracles, and do you believe in asking for miracles?
Yeah, I think miracles can happen. I think miracles can happen. Yeah, but also with everything in the world, there's a time of beginning and an ending. There's time for people to be born, a time for people to die, and maybe sometimes we don't want someone to die, so it's a time for them to pass on their torch to somebody else.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can regulate that, or I don't think you can control that. But yes, I have seen miracles happen, but also the person's also been part of that. I've seen it in business. I've asked for a miracle, and it has happened in the most unexpected way.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, in the most unexpected way. I saw something. I had a dream about something just about to crash, and it took off again, and something happened to interfere with that.
Yeah.
From crashing. So I saw that. I saw the dream personally, and then it just took off again. So that was like, and I was praying.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how much I'd prayed for this business. And I asked for big angels and all sorts of things. And it did happen, actually. It was a miracle, but it happened later on and not the way that I expected.
Yeah.
And I also had personally a friend, and that's a miracle. And she was going to end up with a colostomy bag for the rest of her life. Not that that's a bad thing that people end up with that, but that was for her. It was not a good situation for her. And I worked very hard, but she worked hard as well. So I did a lot of healing on her. And I was given a lot of information, and I had to really trust myself because I got told by Spirit, I got told the name of her specialist. And I also got told that she'd have to go through something's going to happen higher up, but that she wouldn't be having a colostomy bag. And basically, her specialist said to me, the healing that had taken place was remarkable. But at the same time, she had chemo tablets, she had radiation, she also took, she got natural help as well. She did her own prayer meditation, and she also came for regular healings with me. So she had a lot of personal responsibility.
Yeah, right.
But it was quite a miracle because at the beginning, her surgeon said
that was no
way. There's no way, and it was from Spirit saying to me, communicating, please get it looked at, get another colonoscopy. Don't get this done until you've had that looked at. And she, because of that guidance I got, and her own advocate, he decided to, and he just couldn't believe it. And to me, that's a miracle.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds like it.
It was a miracle, but she just didn't sit there and do nothing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, she bested her chances by taking medicines and looking for alternative ways
and
of
diet and everything.
Doing things. If you just sat back and just asked for a miracle, but didn't actually put yourself in a position to receive any sort of treatment, then like you can't really expect much.
No,
right?
And it was a really good saying that God helps those that helps. God helps those who helps themselves, and that's true.
Yeah.
And I think you're all part of the equation. Yes, they will try and help you.
I can definitely get on board with that. Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes, especially with people come for it, they want to. I talked about the magic wand and the magical thinking, and people want me to give them what they want to hear, and they don't want to take any responsibility. And unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And also, I just hearing the word from Spirit saying to me, we've also got to be willing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Janet talked about that. And I said to people, the knight in shining armour is not necessarily going to come knocking at your door. You've got to actually make yourself available to meet someone.
For sure. Yeah. You have to make sure that you give opportunity for those doors to open, but you've also got to walk through the door. It's not going to walk through the door.
And how much satisfaction do people get in, say, for instance, financially? I had it myself when I got into a bad financial situation. The budget queen helped me, and I actually listened to her. So she was sent to me. I was given an opportunity. I sat down and agreed to do a budget with her, and I took action and I did it. And how good I felt as a single woman to actually get myself from a bad situation into a really healthy situation in a short time frame.
Yeah, that's right. Because then you've got a sense of pride, right? You've got a sense of accomplishment and pride in yourself. You've sort of built confidence in yourself, and you've done it. You've put in the work. You've put in the effort. You've found a way through it. It hasn't just been handed to you in a platter.
Yeah, and even my son Bernard. So, my brother who's deceased now, he prayed over him. And he felt something wrong with his ears. And I had a visitation from Jesus that night. And even Bernard said Jesus visited our house. And his godmother came and said, Jesus bless his house. It was amazing. I talk about that in another podcast. But then I was led to a GP who led me to another GP who did kinesiology. And to do with his allergies that he had or food intolerances. And it helped with his hyperactivity. And I was praying. Yeah, and I was taken down an unlikely path. And the weird thing about it is my parents were very religious, but they were quite open to the solution. And my father was quite open to it. And he thought it was he knew there was something in it. Because Dad was into quantum physics. And kinesiology is how we tested it. And it was 100% accurate.
Yeah.
And also read a book. It's called Discipline While You Can. And I think I learned how to discipline better. I changed my son's diet. I did and then he's turned out to be an amazing person. He did a philosophical way, whereas he could have gone the other way because he had these allergies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was everything that came into one.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's quite miraculous, but I had to take some responsibility for that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
as he did actually as a child.
As he did as well, and as adult. And I guess like a very simple way to do this, if you're overweight and you wanted to lose weight, if you're just going to eat McDonald's and bad food, you're going to have a bad diet, and you're not going to go exercise, you're not going to miraculously
100%.
become the figure that you're sort of desiring to get to, or in a healthy state, right? You've actually got to you've got to help yourself.
Yeah.
Or if you're wanting to get in a financially better situation, you actually have to find new ways to either like make money or save on expenses and change your spending habits. It's not just your financial situation is not going to miraculously change, and if it did and you've still got your bad habits, well, you're just going to end up in the same point. It's just going to be a matter of time anyway. So you do have to
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
I listened to a really interesting, I sent it to you, Zoe's podcast about health and nutrition.
Yeah.
And I love that podcast series. If I'd suggest you watch it, because it's got a lot of reputable, like, doctors and scientists and very qualified people. And apparently the Zoe podcast has been put together. It's about health and nutrition. And then COVID happened. And this guy, Tim, who's a scientist, he was talking about his podcast. He was on his way home on the bike, and he was quite depressed. I think we all got a bit depressed when COVID suddenly hit us. He felt quite depressed because he'd been building this app up. And suddenly he was inspired. Now, I believe he might not agree, but I believe he's inspired from the spirit world. And he used what he had in place, and they got lots of statistics. And they opened up the Zoe to get information from people having COVID. And that's what they knew, the symptoms changed and what had happened. And they did lots of statistics and study, which actually helped help the world.
Yeah.
And he actually won an award in England for what he did for during COVID.
Yeah.
And so it was really interesting, and I sort of felt that he was led to somewhere else. I feel he was inspired.
Yes.
For a solution.
Yes, and then he had to do the work to get the solution.
He had to do the work to do it.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
He had everything in place.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I've got no actual other questions on.
Well, I just want to say,
but
sometimes you think you're in the worst situation possible, but there's a saying, everything happens for a reason. Maybe things happen because you put yourself there. But I want to say, it doesn't matter how hopeless you feel or how bad you feel, is that there's always some hope.
100%.
Is hope. And
100%.
Try not to panic and to ask. And also, I think I think one of the things people pray for, they don't want people to die, but I think this is a natural process. And anybody that's dying, you can do your best to try and get them better and to help themselves. But really, there is a time for all of us to pass on and to give the torch to others.
Yes, 100%. I got a question on this. I know we've rambled on a little bit off topic.
That's all right.
But just on this, so we've talked about treatments and stuff you can get when you're sick, and like if you wind back the clock a couple of 100 years, our life expectancy was way less than it is today. What do you think it's going to do for our spirit? Like, I feel like is eventually we're going to get to a point where we're immortal in some sense, where we don't die.
I think everything has a beginning, everything has an end.
Yeah, that's interesting though, right? Like if they find a way to engineer, and wonder what that's going to do to the balance of life and spirit and etc. Right?
That's quite an out there question, actually.
I just thinking about it when you're talking.
I just saw a blue. I must have been my dad actually, because I just saw a blue eye wink beside you, and it's almost like we're not supposed to know that.
Yeah.
I doubt very much that would happen.
Yeah.
Because it's, I think it's about I just see the balance. Yeah, I get the balance. And do we really want to go on forever?
Well, I think personally, if we were given immortality, life would become very boring very quickly.
Yeah, I know.
Because there'll be no consequences to taking risk.
Yeah.
I think we, as humans, we value things that are scarce.
Yeah.
So, I guess we like things like gold and diamonds and nice cars and nice things because there's a scarcity to them. Yeah. We really value scarcity. And I think that's why we value life so much. Yeah. It's because life itself is scarce.
Well, I was thinking about this myself today because at my age, and I was thinking, how many years left have I got on this planet?
It's a really important question. Right?
Yeah, I was asking myself that very question this morning, and just thinking, well, I really got to make the most of my life. It's like, don't waste it on 100%. Things that aren't important.
Yeah.
Is this really worth worrying about?
And a really good example is, would a 16-year-old that doesn't have anything trade his life with, say, Warren Buffett, who's got billions and billions of dollars, but I think he's in his late 80s or something. Yeah. Who would you rather be?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Time's an amazing thing,
time is worth way, way more than all the riches in the world.
It is. Going back to Zoe podcast, actually something I said, and I heard a naturopath talk to me about this once. So that in Zoe they said a lot, is that people often spend the most money and time and look at their health and their diet and all that, everything, the last 6 months of their lives.
Yeah, isn't that terrible?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And rather than, so they're saying their job is to try and help people with the quality of their life. So it's the quality, not the quantity, quite often.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just saw someone wink at me when you asked that question.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And but as I said, it's all about balance, is what they said to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel that.
You don't feel that will become immortal eventually?
No, and I just heard the words not happening. That's
Yeah.
what I heard.
Okay. Yeah.
So I can only give you that, Andre, not happening. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, interesting subject. So
Yeah.
hopefully if you've got anything that's worrying you or bothering you, want to help yourself, I've given you some answers that yes, you can ask Spirit to help. There's different ways of asking. Anybody can do it. Don't worry, just do it in your own way, in your own calm way, and just be really patient and let them answer. They might answer in a different way than you expected, in a time you didn't expect it. And you look back and say, oh, actually, my prayers were answered. One thing I didn't talk about is that we should always thank the spirit world. So one thing, gratitude is the best attitude. So when my prayers are answered or my asking is answered, I always say thank you so much for helping me, because I think it's always great to show your appreciation. So I also show my appreciation to you for following my podcast. Blessings and love to you. Please like this podcast if you like it. We'd love you to help us. I really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the podcast and turn on notifications so you know when the next podcast is coming available. Blessings and love, Kerry Marie.